Hello and welcome back to Ready Steady DIY. If it's your first time here, thank you for joining us. If you've already subscribed, thank you for subscribing. Well, if you like old stuff like I do, you've probably been in this position before. You find the perfect thing somewhere on Kijiji, at a garage sale, at a flea market. In my case, it was this amazing condition AMIGA 2000 computer. I was so excited to take it home, and everything looks immaculate. The body of it's in great shape, the board is in great shape, but whoa, hang on, what's this? Leaky battery. Eventually, if you like old electronics, you're gonna open something up and find a corroded battery. Anyway, for me, it's not the end of the world. There is a way to fix this. I'm gonna go at it with everything I got. This AMIGA is really important to me. I really wanna save it. So if you wanna see how this turns out, stay tuned right to the end. For now, I gotta get started. A lot of people see this kind of battery damage and they assume that the innards of any battery are acidic. While this is true of some batteries, like car batteries, it's not true of most of the batteries that you find in most electronics. If you look right on the side of the battery, it'll tell you it's an alkaline battery, meaning the guts, the innards of the battery, when they leak out, yes, they're gonna burn what's around them. In this case, unfortunately, my motherboard. But no, they're not burning it because of an acidic reaction. They're burning it because they're extremely alkaline. Alkaline innards have a really high pH value. And so when you go to neutralize that, you have to choose something that has a really low pH value. In other words, you have to choose an acid. And so most people go for vinegar. That's what I'm gonna try here today. So first step is cut off the battery. The battery, unfortunately, in these computers is quite famous for leaking, and it's soldered right onto the motherboard. So I gotta cut it off, and later on, I'll get out my soldering iron and remove the points at which it was attached. But for now, I'm just gonna cut it off and get it to stop leaking on the board. You just take your acid, in this case vinegar, and paint it right on there. Let it react. If there's a lot of alkaline substance on the electronics you're cleaning, when you add your vinegar, it can react. Very similar to that science experiment everybody did when they were kids, mixing baking soda and vinegar together to create that foam. You can get sort of a similar reaction in the battery compartment of your electronics. It's possible. In this case, it's a small amount, so it's a smaller reaction, but the acid and the base are neutralizing each other. I am stopping the chemical reaction that the alkaline substance was having with my motherboard, eating it away, and hopefully I'm putting a stop to that forever. So typically when acids and bases meet like this, the result is 1, they neutralize each other, that's what I want, and 2, they leave behind sort of a salty residue, usually that is. So after applying the vinegar, I'm gonna mop up my little mess here. It's doing a wondrous job, you can see. The board, it looks pretty good, but in order to clean up the residue from the chemical reaction, I'm gonna use a little isopropyl alcohol. I use 99% because it evaporates quicker, and just clean up any residue from the chemical reaction, and then I'm gonna inspect. If there was significant corrosive damage, I would have to go further. In this case, I got a little bit lucky. I think I got away with this one. If the alkaline exposure had been more severe and it had burned through the coating of the motherboard, or it had started to corrode the chip here, or basically anything, I would have to deal with that corrosion. Corrosion breeds more corrosion, so I would have to remove the corrosion as best possible. I was actually quite worried about this area up here. It looked quite a lot like some corrosion had started to form under the coating of the PCB, and that would need to be removed. But I decided ultimately that it was just some marring on the top of the coating, and I'm gonna monitor that. That's the part that I really wanna watch and make sure there's no secret corrosion happening underneath. If there were, I would get out my burnishing brush, or it's sometimes called a fiberglass brush. It looks like this. It's basically a very mild and gentle way of scraping a surface. I'll put a link in the description below to one in case you're interested. And if there were corrosion happening on this motherboard somewhere, it would work just like corrosion on your car. You gotta grind it off and get down to the bare metal and then recoat that bare metal. I would love to not do that to this motherboard if I don't have to. So I'm just gonna monitor this area and keep an eye on it. Hopefully it's not necessary. This computer is really important to me. They don't make these anymore, and they're pretty special. At least to me they are. I'm really excited to own it, so I don't want it to get any further damaged than it's already been. I feel like I have a responsibility to it. So opening it up every now and again and making sure that the part of the motherboard that housed this damaging battery is still okay is fine with me. So that's what I did this week. Hope that helped you out. If it did, please feel free to like or subscribe. Liking or subscribing really helps the channel, and if you could do that, I'd really, really appreciate it. And otherwise, take care, stay safe, have fun with your DIY projects, and I'll see you next Saturday.